Hello, my name is Arthur Juarez, and today I'd like to present to you the different protocols known as UDP and TCP. Now, when we discuss these protocols, one of the things that we must ask ourselves first is what is a UDP and a TCP? Even though they can kind of get confusing just looking at like the initial letters instead of actually knowing what it is, I like to help by showing what it actually stands for. So, User Data Protocol, or UDP, is a protocol that would send packets to a receiver without establishing a connection. And this means that you wouldn't have to confirm that you have properly made a connection to the other line to send these files safely and properly. And this is a much faster procedure and faster protocol, and it would have a lot lower latency, which will be good for services I will explain in a minute. However, there is a huge risk with just being able to just send out packets without confirming or the other user confirming, because this could welcome and invite a denial of or a distributed denial of service attack, or as known as a DDoS attack. And even without the risk of being attacked, the packets could just simply fail to be sent. So if you send something with UDP, there's still a chance that many of the files could be lost or just thrown out of transmission, or just never been sent to begin with because you may have sent it wrong or they've never gotten it. And this is what it would kind of look like. This source from Cloudflare shows a great example of what it would look like. So they would request it, and the sender would just straight send it, but there's no confirmation of making sure that it would actually properly send it there. And now, the uses of UDP in in our world is for voice calls, for video streaming, for online video games, and even live streaming. Because since the latency is so low, you can basically get to that near point of real-time interaction or very fast upload speed or download speed for the users that want to watch a movie or want to participate in online gaming or voice calls. And some good examples of software and application that uses UDP in real life are Discord, which is used for video calls and voice calls, and Twitch, which is mostly used for live streaming and online video game streaming. Now, a transmission control protocol, or a TCP, would actually establish a connection with the receiver. It would take a little bit more time, but it would guarantee a safer transfer of these packets that would be sent using this protocol. This protocol will also allow for all the files to be properly organized rather than being risk for being thrown off. And it's much more secure because you can't just flood a receiver with a bunch of packets that they may or may not get. And it's also very secure because both ends have to verify, like, yes, I want you to send me these files. So within this protocol, it would allow us to use HTTP and Telnet procedures, or Telnet requests if you want to, in a safer manner. And it would break down larger packets, and it would break them down into smaller packets that can be sent to a receiver without being at risk for being lost. And again, using a source from Cloudflare, they provide a really good example of how that would work. And the examples that we in real life that we use of TCP are web applications, Telenet, SSH, and even emails such as Gmail or Yahoo or AOL, because both ends would have to verify and encrypt and basically make sure that whatever you're sending is secure as possible. And now let's take a look at the OSI model layers and the PPP architecture. As you can see, transport is the layer that TCP and UDP would lay into. Even though you got 7 layers. The one we're focusing on today will be layer 4. As you can see, a better close-up of this layer module. What is the difference between TCP and UDP? Well, besides the ones that we discussed, let's take a look at more differences that is provided by TechTarget. One of the interesting ones I find about transmission controls is that it's a lot slower and requires more resources compared to the user datagram protocol, or the UDP, because the transmission control protocol would require more establishing, more confirmation, and also would require a lot more effort into sending these files securely, whereas UDP would try to be more efficient in speed, so that way nothing is really, they're not waiting on anything. So again, it'd be great for video calls, streaming, and gaming, because when you talk, just like in real life, you kind of want a more immediate response compared to something like an email or text message, where it might take you 5 to maybe even like 3 hours just to even see the message due to being busy, and you would have to wait for a reply back. And though in reality, it just takes more time to have the email sent, that really wouldn't take 3 hours. So after comparing and looking at the two, which one is better? I think they both have their special uses. It really depends on the situation required. So if it's very dependent on what you're using it for. So you don't want to have to wait a long time in order to even play online games, when it won't even be like as reliable as using a UDP to constantly get these faster speeds and risk a little bit of lag, rather than having to risk a long wait time for essentially a few minutes of gameplay. And now we want to know why it's important to know when to use TCP and UDP in proper times or in proper situations. It is important because if we implement these protocols wrong, it can affect our security, our efficiency, and our practicality of the situation. So if you just put a UDP in your email, there's a chance that the email might be intercepted, or the chance that the email might be completely thrown out because the email just gets thrown out because there's no secure connection or established connection it could send to. And then, of course, someone could probably intercept it a lot easier than it would to be in a TCP protocol. And now I like to make a comparison of the TCP and UDP to like delivery service. So for a second, hang with me here. Pretend for a moment that you are a delivery man or woman who are working for big Amazon or working for a shipping company. It would be important to know where to get the item, where to deliver it to, and who the package belongs to. Like TCP, you need to know, does it really want it? Is there an established route we can go to? And, basically you need to confirm where everything's going to go, just like how a delivery driver needs to confirm where that package is going to go and what items would go to it. And now if we try to take that UDP approach to it, we can see a problem where, we can't just send some guy out with a random package going around the streets being like, oh, did you order this computer? No, it's not how that works. Someone paid $1,000 and you're just going to give it to somebody who didn't even consider buying a computer. That's just irresponsible. However, that doesn't mean that some delivery services cannot use a UDP method. Now, this one isn't as corporate. Let's now pretend that you walked outside in your neighborhood and you're looking around and you see this boy, this newspaper boy, riding his red bicycle, and he's throwing his newspapers into the front doors of all your neighbors. The boy does not have to worry about figuring out where everybody lives or sending it to a specific person. Rather, he's throwing his newspapers and free magazines onto the steps of many residents, and some might not even be home, or some might not even live there anymore. And like UDP, he doesn't have to worry about confirmation on the other end to send a particular package. And there's times where some newspapers are just lost because either the neighbor never retrieved them, or maybe they left for the week, or maybe they just don't live there anymore, and the delivery boy may not know at all. So that's how I compare TCP and UDP in a more easier term rather than being all technical. And I hope today I helped made TCP and UDP a lot more understandable, and at least kind of like put it in like a simpler term that won't confuse many people that aren't in this technical field. I want to talk about this in a way where people can understand even without much knowledge about networking or very complicated IT knowledge. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you guys have a good day.